Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm just checking my levels, make sure everything's working okay. I think it is. Who all is here today? Let's put that chat up on the screen and see what's going on. How is everybody today? I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. And I also hope that any dads out there are having a wonderful Father's Day. It is Father's Day, so I know being a dad is a tough job, and I appreciate every one of you who is a dad. I miss my dad terribly, so I totally this day kind of makes me a little sad. So instead of dwelling in the sorrow, we're going to get into a true crime case. First of all, let's say hi to the chat. Kbot Video, good to see you. Number 2, as always, is here. Number 2 and I did a show on Friday Night Crime Land, also known as the same as, what do we call it? Many Such Cases stream. We're going to do that every now and again. But if you missed it on Friday night, because it's not my normal night, go back and watch that one. Be sure while you're there to hit the like button. Hey, while you're in this video, hit the like button for this one too. Why not? It doesn't hurt anything. It makes me feel good. And, it doesn't cost you anything. So Horatius, always good to see you, sir. Horatius is the only one person who basically carries the Crime Land stream on his back by sending me all those great links in my Discord. As a matter of fact, while I'm talking, I'm going to pull up my Discord and put the link in the chat if anybody else wants to join and take some of the pressure away from Horatius. He's doing all the heavy lifting over there, so he might need some help with that. There's a couple of different sections to put links. If you want a story covered in depth, like the one we're doing today, that's an Overruled show, so you put it in the Overruled segment. If it's just a short like current event type crime or just something kind of silly or funny that has to do with crime, you put that in the Crime Land segment. Let's copy that link, stick it right over here. Join the Discord. We got a great community over there. We have fun over there on Discord. Join us, why don't you? Close that up and let's see. Okay. I gotta stop saying why do I say so much? It's amazing how much I think that I don't say and then I notice when I watch the replay, I'll watch it back just to see how I did, and it's like my skin crawls every time I say it. Okay, Horatius, Kbot, number 2. I got all you guys already. I also saw Smith W joined us. Salacious is here. Awesome, Salacious, and I believe Salacious's, that's a hard word to say, daughter. Nice to see you as well. Yo Mama, which is my mama, is also in the chat, and we're gonna get started. Have you all heard of Stacey Castor? She's a woman, obviously. I don't cover very many women on my channel, and I actually said, hey Sammy girl, nice to see you. As I was saying, I don't cover very many women on my channel, and I said on Twitter today, I made a big goof because I said it's the first woman killer that I'm going to cover. I covered a woman killer last week, and it slipped my mind. Do you all remember last week, the Lululemon murder? Yeah, that was a woman murderer. So I don't know what I was talking about on Twitter, but of course on Twitter you can't edit your tweets unless you pay $8 a month, and I'm not paying for Twitter. So I'm just gonna be fake news. You are fake news. I am fake news. I did cover another woman before. Nice to see you, Quest Fanning. I want to remind everybody at the top of the show, and then I'll remind you maybe halfway through or whatever, that if you want to make a donation, there's several ways to do it. There is Buy Me a Coffee. Obviously, you could do a super chat right there on YouTube. You can also donate on Rumble. Let's check Rumble. Let's see who's on Rumble. I always forget about Rumble. Mr. Zed is on Rumble, and Based Babe is on Rumble. By the way, I was on Based Babe's show on Thursday, Finding the Faith is her podcast, and it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, and you should go check her out. Finding the Faith on Rumble. You can find her. Oh, wait, so donations. You could do a Rumble rant. You could do a super chat. You can do a buy me a coffee. Let's put that up there. You could do a subscribe star. I think that's all the ways. All of the ways. But big news, big news. If you donate in the month of June, every single person gets entered into a drawing for an Overruled coffee mug. Bam, Overruled coffee mug, just like this one here. It's the signature color. It says Overruled True Crime with Katie Z. It's got good coffee in it. Quest Fanning just made a donation. So let's explain the rules of donations. So you make a donation. I put your name in this book. As you can see, everyone who donated, there's 2 on each page, and I put their names in here. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to take all these, fold them up, put them in a hat. And my first episode in July, I'm going to have an in real life guest on, and I'm going to have him pull a name out. If your name gets pulled, you get an Overruled coffee mug. And the other thing that happens every time you donate is these 2 over here get a milk bone. So we'll do that now because I just saw that Quest Fanning did a super chat, a super duper chat. I really appreciate every single person who has donated and will donate because this show doesn't run itself, guys. And it takes a lot of time. And as you know, I do a lot of research into every single topic that I cover. Oh, thank you. Horatius just put the link to the Finding the Faith podcast that I was on Thursday. I appreciate that. I do my best to do producing on the fly, but I'm not that good yet. I need more practice. Quest Fanning says our episode about would-be killer Amy Fisher was a good episode too. Yes, Quest Fanning was here in real life. Was it last November? He came down from New York to visit me, and we did an episode together as well. Let's give the pups a treat, and we'll get into the episode. Oh, I hit the wrong button. That's me. You want to see them, not me. There they are. All right, this is from Quest Fanning. Quest Fanning has not met Ava yet, but he loves Xena. Xena's the best dog ever, and he also has a dog named Xena. So we're going to say these are from Xena, these treats. Did you see Xena trying to shake already? She's trying to shake. I haven't even gotten over there yet. Haven't even got there yet, Xena. Hold your horses. Hold them. All right. Ready? Do a shake. There's a shake. Ava, sit. 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 Good girl. And there's one for Xena. Good girls. Good girls. All right. So nobody really comes here to watch me. They come here to see the dogs. I know this. You know this. They know it. If you donate on Buy Me a Coffee or on Rumble, please just say something in the chat, just because it doesn't always pop up. The Buy Me a Coffees don't pop up immediately like the other ones do. I'll pull it up, so hopefully it does come up, but I have to like physically go check it and things like that. So aren't they just the sweetest things? Sammy Girl says she wants a puppy, and the only thing I suggest, Sammy Girl, if you do get a puppy or want a puppy, I always say adopt, don't shop, because both of these sweet ladies right here were adopted from rescues, and they are the best dogs ever. They never forget. They know that they were in a bad situation and you're giving them a loving home. So they appreciate that. And they always, like I said, they never forget, and they're the best dogs. Also, who wants to spend $5,000 on a dog when you can get one for a couple of $100 adoption fee down at the shelter? Not only are you saving a life, you're saving their life. So you're doing a good deed, and they're just the sweetest dogs ever. Usually, this is totally off. This is a true crime channel, I promise, but totally off topic. I think that A lot of times I do, I work or volunteer at a rescue, and I also do dog sitting as a hobby. I like to say it's a hobby because I only do it because I love dogs, and I like to have hobbies that don't cost me money. But I dog sit, and most of the time, dogs that are purebred dogs, like from a pet store, are just a little like crazy and have like they're just not wired right. But when you get a mixed breed like these two, they end up being the best dogs ever. All right, let's turn this off. Don't forget, if you donate in in June, we're going to have a drawing on July 2nd during our Leo Frank stream, and we will pick a winner. Oh, let me write Quest's name down in the book. Right after Scotto's name. Quest has an entry. Bam. All right. So Stacey Castor was a lady. She lived in upstate New York, which is funny because we have a friend upstate New York audits. But Stacey Castor lived in upstate New York in a town called Weedsport, New York. Weedsport is near the Finger Lakes region, and I didn't realize it while I was researching this case, but very good friends of Mr. Dave's and mine live in the Finger Lakes region. And when I was looking at the map, I realized we had driven right through this town of Weedsport, which is right here. Oh, there's Weedsport. And we flew into Rochester, and we drove on this highway here to Auburn, New York, which is where our friends got married. And so we must have gone right through Weedsport because that's the road that gets there. So I'm familiar with this area. This is Finger Lakes. The reason it's called that is because these long lakes right here kind of look like fingers. It's a weird name for an area of the country, but it is what it is. So Weedsport, New York. You know, guys, I like my map. So we'll leave the map here of Weedsport while I tell you a little bit about Stacey Castor. So Stacey was born on July 24th, 1967 in Weedsport, New York. And in 1985, when Stacey was just 17 years old, she met a man named Michael Wallace at a bar. I'm not sure what a 17-year-old was doing at a bar, but I also know that in rural areas like that, bars are more like community meeting center like areas instead of just like to drink at. Like they it's not necessarily that she was there drinking, although judging from her history, I'm pretty sure that maybe that's what she was doing there. But semi-salacious. I'm like, who's semi-salacious? Yes, Salacious and her daughter did pick this episode because the episode that I was planning on doing, Cam Harless was going to be on. And he had to reschedule till the middle of July sometime because his wife had a baby. Congratulations, Cam, and Cam's wife, and the new baby. I saw a picture. He looks like if this baby had a full beard, he and Cam would be twins. That's how much this baby looks like Cam. I'm rambling today. What am I doing? I'm getting distracted by Ava. So she met this guy in 1985, this local bar. His name's Michael Wallace. They hit it off immediately. They end up getting married in 1988 because she was pregnant with their first daughter, Ashley. So I believe that they got married. It was like a shotgun wedding type of thing. They get married, also have a baby, both in 1988. And then in 1991, they have their second daughter named Bree. Just 12 years after they were married, Michael Wallace suddenly gets ill. She gets really sick all of a sudden and really bad. Just like, bam, he's sick. And they couldn't figure out, he went to the doctor. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. His chief complaint was that he felt dizzy. And even when he hadn't had any alcohol, he felt like he was drunk, which is a weird set of symptoms. They checked his vitals. They ran all of the tests. The doctors could not figure it out. So he was scheduled to go back in for more tests. His wife, Stacey, scheduled a doctor's appointment for him, like with a specialist. They're like, we have got to figure this out. We need to figure out what's going on with his health, because he was like so sick. He was just like laying in bed all the time. It was crazy. So the day before, unfortunately, the day before he was going back into the doctor's office, his symptoms got really bad, like worse than they already were. All of a sudden, he had a really bad cough. His face was swollen. The doctors previously couldn't figure any of this out. And on January 11th, 2000, Ashley, who was 12 years old at the time, because remember, she was born the same year they were married. So she's 12 years old. She comes home from school, sees her dad laying on the sofa. And what she said, this is a quote from her, it looked like he was making funny faces. He put his arm up in the air and brought it down to his side and then dropped it to the floor. Ashley didn't know what was going on. She's 12 years old. She knows she has to go pick up her little sister Bree from school. So she leaves and figures dad's been sick. He'd been sick since before. This is January 11th. He had been sick since just before Christmas. So it wasn't unusual for him to be laying, like during that 3-week time period. It wasn't unusual for him to be like hanging out on the sofa, just, sick. She leaves to go pick up Bree from school. And in the meantime, while Ashley and Bree are still out of the house, Stacey comes home she was running errands that day. She comes home and finds Mike on the sofa unresponsive. So she calls 911, calls the ambulance. So when Ashley and Bree return home from school, the ambulance and other emergency vehicles they're already all over their house. And that's got to be pretty frightening for a 12-year-old. And I think Bree was 9 at the time. Don't quote me on that. But 12-year-old and younger than 12, a few years younger. So imagine coming home from school at age 12 and you have no idea what's going on. You just see all like a fire truck, ambulances, everything, and they're not allowing you to go in your house. One of the neighbors came and got the girls and brought them to their house. The neighbor said, "No, girls, come with me." Brought them next door and waited. They called the grandmother to go pick them up from the neighbor's house. So they get to the hospital and Stacey tells the doctors of Mike's family history. And she's like, docs, this guy has been sick for a long time or for several weeks. Also, he's got a history of heart disease in his family. He drinks and smokes and does drugs all the time. Thank you, Major Victory. I did just sneeze. I got to the mute button in time, though. And I see Jerry's in the chat. Nice to see you, Jerry. If I missed anybody else, News Now Enemy is here. Always good to see him. People who just got here, don't forget, if you make a donation in the month of June, you're entered into a drawing for this mug. Not this one that I'm drinking out of, one just like it, that I'll make the drawing on July 1st. Also, the pups get a treat, but that happens. So they get to the hospital and Stacey's just going on and on about how sick and decrepit this 38-year-old man was, who, by the way, we figure out later on that he was not. There was no history of heart disease in his family. He was not sick. He did do, he smoked weed and drank from time to time, but nothing crazy. He wasn't like a heroin addict or he wasn't like smoking crack or anything like that. But the way she told the doctors are like, oh, must have been a heart attack. I see Waffle Salter over on Rumble, I have it up today, Waffle. I'm not ignoring Rumble today. Waffle Salter gets his name in the book again, and we're going to give the dogs a treat right now. Well, I'll finish this story, this part of the story, and then I will give them both a milk bone. I got the little milk bones because you all are too generous, and if I gave them the giant milk bones, they'd probably get a bellyache. You gotta wait. All right, so the doctors take her word for it, basically, because why would she lie? This is the wife, and why would she be making this up? She's obviously distraught. Her husband, 38 years old, just like died in front of her, and her daughter witnessed him dying as well. And they write it down on the paperwork that it's a heart attack pending an autopsy. I have a frog in my throat today. So everybody at the hospital is telling Stacey, you need to have an autopsy done because not only do you want to find out what happened to Michael, but if it's something that is hereditary, something genetic, you need to know what's going on. So that way, if it's something that can be passed on to your daughters, they need to know about it before they get like later in life and it sneaks up on them too. Up and down, this lady refuses an autopsy. She's like, no way, not getting an autopsy. There's no reason for it. I don't need that. And she ends up burying him in the cemetery. Obviously, she didn't bury him in the backyard. I don't know why I said in the cemetery. That makes sense. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. And thank you, Waffle Salter, for the donation. And we'll get the pups up on screen. Bam. Pups on screen. And Ava, you need to get in your spot. Get in your spot. She's being stubborn. She doesn't know she's not going to get a treat if she doesn't get up there. Come on, Ava. Ava, here. Do you want this? Look. All right, Xena gets hers. Xena, you're such a good girl. You want a shake? There's a shake. Ava, sit. 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 Shake. 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 Good girls. That's such good girls. Give you some ear scritches. Okay. Okie dokie. I gave them ear scritches for Sammy Girl as well because she always asks for them to get ear scritches. Oh, well, Quest is making a donation as well. So while we have them up, we're going to do that. And then I'm going to wait until if you all donate, I will acknowledge it, but we're going to wait until there's a good place to stop in the story to do anymore. But please do. And then we can skip dinner for them because they will have had so many treats. All right, guys. This one is from Quest. You shake. There's one. There's a little paw. Oh, they're holding hands. Do you see that? All right. And ear scritches. All right. Can you believe these two are not related? They look like Xena should be the mama dog and Ava's the baby dog, but they're not related at all. They're not even the same breed, if you can believe it. They both have a little bit of what's it called? American Staffordshire Terrier in them, but that's the only breed that they're even close to being the same as. But they're the exact same color, and even under here, let me show you under their chins. It's weird. Under their chins, they have like this red stripe, and both of them have it. Now lift up your chins, guys. Look, I don't know if you can see. You see this? And she's got it too. Oh, chin. Put your chin up. Yeah. They both have that dark red stripe under their chin. It's very weird. Quest said, super chat $4.99. Did you just separate July into J Lie? I thought I was no, I'm not from the South. I live in the South. It's July. July. Who is that not the way people pronounce it? It seems like that's the correct way to pronounce it. July. I guess you could say July. July. All right. Yeah, some things are meant to be, Sammy. It's weird. And when we adopted Ava, she didn't look like this at all. She grew into the way she looks. We adopted her at 8 weeks old. So very weird. July. I don't know. I said again. What's wrong with me? I wanted to show you guys some pictures of Michael. Let's do that. This is Michael Wallace, and this is from there's a memorial website for him, so I'm just going to click through these. There's only 8 of them, but there's something I want you to notice. I'll point it out when we get there. So here he is. First of all, that mullet, exquisite. That is an exquisite mullet. There he is, a little older. The younger pictures with that stash and that mullet is amazing. Okay, so she's got this gravestone. This is what I point out. She's got this gravestone with him here, and then she's got a spot for herself next to this gravestone. I thought it was in this picture, but it must not be. She's got her second husband buried, like, right over here. It's just crazy. Yeah, so there he is. Yeah, I love this mullet and that mustache. That's amazing. Amazing. What do you guys think about, like, I've only been married once. I'm not planning on getting married again. But do you think, tell me in the chat, would you bury both husbands next to each other, and which one would you be buried? Would you be buried next to your first husband or your most recent husband? I'm not sure what the protocol for that is. It seems weird to me. I'm clicking the buttons. I'm clicking the wrong buttons. Okay. Quest Fanning says that he would never remarry. I don't think I would either, but I don't know. Maybe I would. It just depends. Remember that story that we talked about? That couple from Texas who drove off the road? That song, The Way. It's a couple episodes back. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But they were both married for like 40 years to their first spouses. And then they met at church, and they were like in their 70s or 80s when they met, or when they got remarried. And they ended up having an accident where they drove off a cliff. I just ruined the episode. It's a great episode, though. Still go back and watch it. Hit the like button, too. It helps the algorithm. But I believe that both of them were buried next to their first spouses. So, not sure. Not sure what protocol is. So, Ashley was 12 years old when she found her dad dying on the sofa in that weed sport home. And for a very long time, she blamed herself. Keep in mind, she's 12 years old, and she doesn't need to blame herself. It was not her fault. Not at all. Just wanted to write down Quest's other donation so I don't forget it. Like I said, every time you donate, you get another entry into the drawing. She blamed herself because she thought maybe if she had called 911 that maybe they could have saved him. We know now, hindsight is 2020, and he would have died either way. She didn't know that when she was 12, though. So for many, many years, she blamed herself for his death. And it wasn't until 17 years later, until somebody else started blaming her for his death. We'll get to that part of the story. Mike's insurance policy paid out $55,000 to Stacey, and she paid off a bunch of bills, paid for a $10,000 funeral. I don't know how much funerals normally cost, but that seems like a bit much to me, $10,000. I've never had to pay for a funeral, so I'm not sure. Smith W. says that he buried his mom with his dad's ashes. There was no third parties in my family, so his parents were old school. My parents as well are old school. My father passed away many years ago. I miss him very much on Father's Day, especially. But my mom never even dated that I know of. She's in the chat. You guys grill her. See if she's ever dated anybody since my dad died. They got married when she was 19. And as far as I know, she's not dated anybody else since then, and definitely not married again. So she paid off bills, paid for the funeral, $10,000, and also took the girls to Disney World. And I already showed you the photos. In 2003, Stacey, this happened in 2000, and in 2003, 3 years later, Stacey married David Castor. As far as I know, they were not dating. A lot of times you see this where a husband or a wife dies suddenly, and then we find out after the fact that they had been dating somebody and they end up getting married right away. This seemed pretty quick, 3 years later. However, as far as we know, she didn't know David, didn't marry, or wasn't messing around with David while she was married to Michael. But they did end up getting married in 2003. Something's going on in the chat, and I didn't read it, and I need to know what's happening. Let's see. Everyone's laughing at Yo Mama? What did she say? You can legally put 4 bodies in one grave in most states. Interesting. Why do you know that? Interesting. Yo Mama knows what's up. My mama does know what's up. I would not mess with my mama, by the way. Finding the Faith, Frida says that she feels like dating is hard enough the first time around. How does one date again after the loved one passes? I don't know. I don't think any man could ever measure up to my hubby, especially if it's his. So she basically, Frida saying she loves her husband so much that no man would ever meet that expectation again. I totally understand that. I feel the same way. I don't think I would date again if Mr. Zed ever died. Is he still here? I'm talking about him. He was in Rumble before. He's not still here. He might be. Yeah, it'd be tough. It would have a long time, more than from 2000 to 2003 would have to pass in order for, that seems like so fast. After being married for 12 years, Mr. Zed and I have been married for almost 16. At the end of this month, it'll be 16 years. And I feel like that's like a lifetime. I feel like I've known him and have been married to him forever, even though we didn't get married till we were a little bit older. And, we met when we were in our late 20s. So a lot of people get married. Like I said, my mom got married when she was 19, Stacey marries David Castor, 2003. And, David Castor was the owner of an air conditioning business. His father had worked for an air conditioning installation and repair company. It's really hot in here right now. I could probably use his services. And his dad worked for this place, and then the owner of the place that his dad worked was going to retire and sell the place. And since he had worked there for so long, he ended up purchasing the place. So now he owns their HVAC company. And Stacey was an office manager there. Turns out David Castor had been married before, but he had an accident that he had a head injury. He was riding a dirt bike. He was really into, kind of like Marvin Heemeyer that we talked about a few weeks ago. He was into all of these kind of motorsports type stuff. So he had snowmobiles and four-wheelers and dirt bikes, like the motorized dirt bike, those ones, like off-road type bikes. And he wanted we're talking about his first wife, to enjoy that stuff too. She was not as steady. She didn't feel comfortable riding a two-wheeled vehicle. She prefer either to ride on the back of his if they were going somewhere, or to have like a trike or 3 or 4 wheels, like a four-wheeler. But he ended up buying her a dirt bike, a motor bike, because he thought maybe if she had one that was the correct size, she would get more comfortable on it and be able to do that with him. She laid the bike down and just didn't want to get on it again. She's like, I'm perfectly happy being on 4 wheels. I don't need 2 wheels. And, we got to sell this bike. So he was taking it out for a test drive in order to sell his first wife's bike, and he ended up crashing, but not just laying it down a little like she did. He crashed it hard, hit his head. They said it was so bad that he would have died right then if he was not wearing a helmet. He was wearing a helmet, thank goodness, but he did hurt himself real bad. And after that head injury, it was like a traumatic brain injury. His ex-wife said that he kind of changed and he was a bit of a dick after that. And they ended up getting divorced. And he would, at his HVAC company, he would interview people for these office type jobs that he kind of was attracted to try to get the note. Like, this was his dating strategy. And he had asked several other office managers that worked there beforehand to go out with him or date him. And they just kept turning him down until Stacey Castor comes along. Now, she was not Castor at the time. I forget what her previous Wallace. We just said his name, Mike's name. She was first Stacey Daniels and then Stacey Wallace. So when she was Stacey Wallace, she was working for this HVAC company. David Castor asks her out on a date. She says yes. And it's all downhill from there, I guess. One of the reasons that people, I'm not sure what people, but people think that it's because she said yes, even though he was kind of a dick, because he not only had property, he was a business owner. He owned all of these expensive toys, the snowmobiles and the bikes and the quads, all of these things, boats. He was not, I wouldn't say he was like rich, but he was definitely more wealthy than anybody else that she had dated. So immediately she says, yes, I will marry him. They end up getting married in 2003. And this one only lasted a couple years, guys. In 2005, at 2:00 in the afternoon, Stacey called her local sheriff's office to tell them that her husband had locked himself in the bedroom, and she hadn't seen him since the day before, and they had been arguing all weekend, and now he's not answering his cell phone. Keep in mind, she's at work and he didn't show up for work. So that's her premise for calling the police out there. It's like it was one thing for him not to talk to me at the house and lock himself in the bedroom, but now he didn't come to work. That's just not like him. You guys, could you go out there and check on him? So the police are dispatched, and the police are going to the house. She's meanwhile on the phone with 911, and I just littered on my own floor. She's on the phone with 911 and just giving them way too much information, like weird, like not weird, but you know how some people just a little TMI, just a little TMI. So she's telling them, hey guys, 911 operator who probably doesn't like care or anything, but keep in mind it's all recorded, so they have it after the fact. But she's telling them like his dad just died and he's been very depressed. We've been fighting all weekend, and we're the HVAC company is financially in dire straits, which it wasn't. It wasn't like they were. It wasn't like she was describing it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, they owed money and stuff like that for some equipment they needed to buy, but it wasn't like they were hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in debt or anything. They were doing fine. They just weren't doing great. Does that make sense? So the police get to the house and she gives them permission to kick down the door. So Sergeant Robert Willoughby of the Onondaga. This is totally not right, is it? Onondaga. Onondaga. Oh, we're going with that. Onondaga County Sheriff's Department kicked in the door of the bedroom and found David Castor lying dead inside the bedroom. Among the items near his body was a container of antifreeze and a half-full glass of a bright green liquid. Interesting, right? Yeah, antifreeze. Let's see. I forgot to pull up. Hang out for a second, guys. I got to pull something up. I forgot to pull this up before, and I want to show it to you guys. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. All right, here we go. Let me put this over here. I wanted to show you the pictures from inside the bedroom. It doesn't have like the body or anything like that because I'm not going to traumatize you guys, but it's interesting to see like where stuff was. So, all right, this is the house, by the way. I'm going to click through these until we get to the ones. There's her on the stand. I have a little clip. By the way, did you see the short I made last night? It's of her testifying. I'll play a little bit of that for you guys too later. I think this is the website that had. Okay, so here we go. This is the nightstand, and you can see this glass has some sort of brown liquid at the bottom of it. This glass right here has antifreeze in it. There's an empty container of cranberry juice and a bottle of some sort of alcohol. Interesting to note how clean this antifreeze cup looks right here. Antifreeze is kind of thick, so it's weird that it just looks like it was poured in there and not touched. Something to keep in mind. Here's some pictures of him, like on his toys. Okay, so here we go. Look at how clean this cup looks. This is what I noticed. And then I heard it in the court records that I was reading, and I watched part of the court trial too, is just no lip prints. Keep in mind, according to her story, he was so sick all weekend. Like just, I was going to say dying, but yeah, actually dying. Actually dying. And she, so imagine like having, like you're throwing up, you're pooping on yourself, maybe not on yourself, but you're, diarrhea, throwing up, sweating, all of the stuff, and you don't get any marks on the outside of the glass or on the rim of the glass. Kind of crazy. Little nuts. Let's see. See if there's other. I know there's an image of. Yeah, here we go. Oh, sorry, his feet are in there. But if you look right here, you can see the antifreeze bottle. There's that one. Okay, so it's this picture here. I can't get it any bigger, but if you look halfway tucked under the bed right here is the antifreeze bottle. And another thing I want you to notice is that there's throw up on the side here and underneath the antifreeze bottle, but not on it or splashed on it at all either, which is another thing that's going to come up. Here's that photo I was talking about. So here's her first husband and a spot for her, and then he's right next to, like, there's a tombstone right next to it. Little crazy. Little nuts. What am I doing? Okay. What are you guys saying in the chat? Let's check the chat a little bit, and then we will... Ace, nice to see you. There's more people here. Look at that. Smith said, wow, that's interesting. Let me put that on the screen. Smith W. Or W. Smith. There's a comma there. I'm just going to call you Smith. Smitty, maybe. Just have a nickname for you. Smith's first ex-wife tried to poison her second husband, used most of her daddy's money to get it pled down from tampering with food or beverage. Did 15 years in a Florida prison. Wow, that's crazy. That's a crazy story. I'd like to interview her. Quick question. And I don't know if you probably don't talk to her anymore if she's a murderess, whatever. But it's always interesting to me when people, I always think that there's hope for redemption. There's room for redemption. God forgives all sin. It doesn't matter if it's a big sin or a little sin. But you have to actually be remorseful for it. So I'm wondering, Smith, if is she remorseful for what she did? Or is she like denying that she did it? Or, Pamela Smart still says that, I didn't have anything to do with my husband getting murdered and stuff like that. So I don't think she's going to heaven. So I'm just curious if you happen to know if she's remorseful for what she did, I guess that's the question. Your killdozer with your husband sold me on your... Oh, thank you so much, Ace. I guess a lot of people liked that episode, and I think it's because of him, not me. So maybe I'll have to get him on more often. Really, right now, people are just here for the dogs, who she's turned around and showing her butt right now. So I don't know why. Like, look at this. Look at this. All right, before we get back into the story, real quick... hello to anybody I missed in the chat, by the way. I'm glad that you all are here. I love that you're here, and I love that you support me. Speaking of supporting me, if you're interested in being entered into the raffle to win a beautiful Overruled with Katie Zed coffee mug. Is it focusing? Is it focusing? Look at that. It's in the signature color. Signature channel color, Overruled with Katie Zed. It's one of the large, like 16-ounce ones, so there's room for cream and stuff. And if you make any donation in the month of June, on July 2nd, I am having Stephen Ignoramus on my channel in real life, right here, sitting next to me, and he's going to draw a name from the hat. And if you donate in June, you might win this on July 2nd. By the way, the July 2nd case is called, it's a guy named Leo Frank. It's the oldest case that I've ever covered. It happened in 1913, 1909, something like that. And it happened right here in the Atlanta area. So So Stephen's coming to visit, and we're going to go to the grave of Mary Fagan, pay our respects to the young lady that was murdered. And there's a couple of other sites around the Atlanta area that we're going to go check out before we do that show. So buy Xena a milk bone. Anytime you donate, the dogs get a milk bone. You could do that at a Buy Me a Coffee. You can also do a super chat right here on YouTube or on Rumble. Let's check the Rumble because it does not sync up. And yeah. Mr. Zed's in the chat over there on Rumble. He says antifreeze is a rough way to go. I'm going to get into that in a second. But just so you guys know, if you make any kind of donation on Rumble, Odyssey, I think you can do donations there. Buy Me a Coffee, Super Chat, Subscribe Star. I think that's all of the places. I make it really easy for you guys. Pick one. Even $1, any amount at all, you get entered into the raffle, and Xena and Ava do get a treat. All right, I'm done plugging for the day. If you do a buy me a coffee, then okay, nobody has yet. Let me know because it doesn't automatically pop up for me. So let me know in the chat if you do that. Frida says Overruled mugs are the best mugs. Second best is your mug. Yes. Thank you. Yo Mama is letting me know that it was 1913 and that the important people of Georgia took the law into their own hands. Can I ride along, please? I don't know what that means. Like, you want to be on the episode? Oh, to go to this. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. We're doing that on the Friday, the 30th. So let me know. We're making plans in the chat, people. Plans in the chat. I'm going to get back to the story now because I know people don't like it when I just plug my donation place, for the whole show. Ace, I have not covered the collar bomber, but I'm very interested in that case for sure. I will cover that eventually. I think I have cases that I'm doing scheduled out till the middle of July, and then we'll get into the fall episodes after that. My nose is just running crazy, so I apologize for the sniffles, guys. And I closed my notes. There they are. So all of this weird stuff, she's basically saying he killed himself with antifreeze, which is kind of a weird way to kill yourself, which is one of the things that the police said. Very, very weird. Hold on one. There's no reason to kill yourself via antifreeze when you have a shotgun under your bed. Although this was her story. So Sergeant Willoughby kicks down the door, sees all that stuff that I just showed you the pictures of, the antifreeze. One of the things was the jug of antifreeze on top of vomit. And you saw in that picture where the vomit, like it was bloody vomit down the side of the bed and underneath the antifreeze jug, but not on or splattered. It's splattered all over that room. The puke and poop all over the room, but it wasn't on the glass was very clean that the antifreeze was in, and also the antifreeze jug was very clean. They start doing like forensic stuff. They label his death as suicide because at the time when they have to do this paperwork, that's all they knew. Like, that's the story they had. So they label it as suicide, but they leave it open for an investigation, so they're still investigating. But they're looking into stuff, and they find in the trash can in the kitchen a turkey baster that looked very new. It wasn't worn. Any women out there, I guess men can cook too, but Thanksgiving dinner, mostly the women are cooking that, unless you're Quest fanning, because I know he cooks for his family. But they find in the trash can a very new turkey baster. like halfway down the trash. Like it looked like what they could tell that somebody like lifted up some trash, put this turkey baster in there, and then put other trash on top of it. But of course, the police are investigating all of this, obviously. And so they take that as evidence and they test the inside of it. All of these forensic tests back in, what did I say? This was 2005. It takes a little while to get all this done. So they're checking for fingerprints. They're checking for antifreeze, and they find antifreeze inside of the bulb of the turkey baster. So she had cleaned out the like tube part of it, but not the bulb part of it. There's antifreeze in there. Now, according to her, they fought on Friday night, and he was locked in his room until when they kicked down the door at like 2:00 in the afternoon or 1:00 in the afternoon on Monday. If he was locked in his room with the antifreeze and the whatever else was on that table, a bottle of liquor and cranberry juice, how did antifreeze get on a turkey baster in the trash? Inquiring minds want to know, Stacey. All right, let me pull up this. I have a link. I put the links in my notes so I know what I'm going to next. All right, I have a little tiny video to play. I'm not playing this whole video for you, just some of it. It's a 9-minute video. And I have it queued up to just play a portion of it. Oh. Hold on.
Had observed a turkey baster lying in the garbage can.
And I noticed that it's got droplets inside it. So I pick it up and I pull the rubber bulb off it and I smell it, and I can smell alcohol in it. I know he's been drinking. I know alcohol was involved. I know antifreeze was involved.
People have committed suicide in the past by drinking antifreeze. It's not a pleasant way to go.
They thought that this idea, this notion of a suicide, was really quite plausible. It's what the wife had told them, Stacey Castor.
All right, so
A turkey.
So they're like, yeah, it could have been a suicide, but was it? Probably not. That probably did not happen. Music. I'm pressing all the buttons in the right order today, guys. Knock on wood. I just want to make sure there's nothing else in this article that I wanted to show you guys before I close it. I have to close stuff as I do it because it just makes my computer run faster, and it's better that way. Okay. So I don't know if you guys know what happens to your body if you drink antifreeze. And this is why they were all of the police are like, are we sure that this is how he killed himself? Especially since he had a gun in the house, you know. But if you drink antifreeze, first of all, he was about 170 pounds, and in order to be toxic for a 170-pound human being, you need about 3 teaspoons of antifreeze to be toxic. Now, in order for antifreeze to kill you, you need to drink less than a cup's worth. So it's a long-term, like, I guess you could drink it all at once or whatever, but that's not what Stacey was doing. Stacey was giving it to him a little bit at a time since before Christmas. Remember, he got sick before Christmas, so she was slowly poisoning him. And what happens is that your organs start to shut down. So all of these symptoms that he was saying he felt drunk, antifreeze is close to alcohol, although alcohol is safe to, in excess, everything's not. You don't want to, you can get alcohol poisoning too. I'm just saying, like, you could, 3 tablespoons isn't toxic for you, the way antifreeze is. So she's slowly poisoning him a tablespoon at a time since before Christmas. And then on this day where she allegedly, supposedly made this doctor's appointment for him, we find out in the court case that she never made that doctor's appointment. She still claims that she did, but the people at the doctor's office are like, we have no record of an appointment. And her excuse for that is that, well, he never went to the appointment, so of course they don't have a record for it. That's not how doctor's offices work. If you make an appointment and cancel it, there's still a record of you canceling the appointment. They keep records of all of that stuff. Yeah, Major Victory points out using a knife would be less. Yeah, slitting your wrists would be less painful. Hi, Tommy Walker. Nice of you to join us. I appreciate it. Yeah, we start at 4:30 now. We used to start at 4, but it's 4:30 on Sundays now. So your organs start shutting down. You start to get diarrhea. You're throwing up everything. And it crystallizes in your veins. So your blood turns to a solid, and you just don't survive that. It's a very painful way to go. And it's a very long, drawn out way to go. So like the officer said, or the investigator said in that clip that we just watched, it has happened before where somebody has killed themselves that way, but it is so rare. And in the cases where that's happened, it's that they had no other option. They were set on pressing their own off button, and they had no other option. Smith says saw a dog once that died from antifreeze ingestion. It broke his heart. Yes, it's you start convulsing and foaming and drooling, and it's a messy way to die. The coroner reported that David Castor had committed suicide through a self-administered lethal dose of antifreeze. Like I said, they reserve the right upon further investigation to change that. But Stacey at this time thinks that she's off the hook. She's gotten away with this twice. First husband, they're like, oh, heart attack. Oops, heart attack. Second husband, suicide. Meanwhile, she's collecting not only with this one, it wasn't only life insurance. She had like $60,000 in life insurance money, but he had an IRA and a 401k and all of his expensive toys. She started selling off almost immediately. There was a truck that she sold. I think all in all that it totaled over between $100,000 and $200,000 in actual money she got from this guy dying. So, and on the actual report, it says suicide. So she's like, done with that, move on. Thank goodness she was unable to move on, because who knows who the next guy would have been. I mean, any of you in New York right now, could have been you. All I'm saying, could have been you. Let me just make sure I got all this. The turkey baster I mentioned in the trash. Stacey said he locked himself in the bedroom. So how is the turkey baster in the trash outside of the bedroom? Stacey that the last time she saw him alive was Sunday morning at 5 a.m. when she heard him throwing up. She opened the door to check on him, and he told Stacey to get out of his house, take the kids and leave. This is my house. I bought it even before we knew each other. Get out. And the reason for this is she claims that on Friday night they had an argument about going on vacation. So the argument was he wanted to go on vacation, and she said, I'm not going on vacation with you unless my kids can come with. And now Ashley was not going to be able to go with either way, because she had a job at this time. So she was 19 years old and she had a job. But the little one, Bree, she wanted to take her kids with her on vacation, which makes sense. And he said, no, I just want to spend time with you. She's not going. And they got into a huge blow up, knockdown, drag out fight over this. So much so that he drank himself into a stupor with some Southern Comfort, which, by the way, side story, side quest. Southern Comfort. I cannot even smell Southern Comfort without starting to feel sick to my stomach. Reason being, when I was a teenager, Mom, earmuffs. Don't listen to this part, Mom. Yo, Mama, click away for this. I had to be like 16, maybe 15, 16 years old. And Mom and Dad were out of town in Hawaii, I think. They went to visit my sister. One of my sisters lived in Hawaii at the time. And I remember sitting on the kitchen floor of our old house. My other sister, K-Bot Video, who might also still be in the chat, was watching us, myself and my little brother, and let me drink some Southern Comfort. And I got so sick off of Southern Comfort. This is like, how many, like, this is like 30 years ago, and I can't even smell Southern Comfort without, like, yeah, News Now Enemy is in the chat. He was there. He remembers this. I was throwing up everywhere. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. I didn't even drink again for years. I don't think I drank again until I was like actually legally allowed to drink. I don't think I did, because it was just such a horrible experience for me. So don't get me Southern Comfort. There's a reason I don't drink Southern Comfort. That's funny. Everyone's in the chat who was part of the story. News Now Enemy is a brother that was there. K-Bot Video is the babysitter who was a terrible babysitter. My mom was here. Mom, you can take your earmuffs off now. You can come back. Don't be mad at me. I was a kid. It was Karen. It was K-Bot Video that did it. It was her fault. There was several glasses on the nightstand. One had the antifreeze in it. Another had the cranberry juice. The one with the antifreeze didn't look like it had been drunk from. There was no lip prints on it. There was no, it wasn't swooshed up at the edge of the, at the edge of the glass. There was fingerprints in this room. There was fingerprints. Obviously, his fingerprints were on some things. But on the glass with the antifreeze in it, there was 3 fingerprints found, all from the same person. Does anyone want to guess who the person is, whose fingerprints? One person, 3 fingerprints on the glass that looks like it hadn't been drunk from of the antifreeze. I'll move on to the next thing. You tell me in the chat who you think's fingerprints were on that glass. Also, the jug of antifreeze had one person's fingerprints on it. Same person with the glass. One person's fingerprints on it. It's not going to be a surprise to anybody whose fingerprints they were. Stacey told the police that David and her were arguing since Friday night, and she hadn't been in the room at all. So when her fingerprints were the only ones found on any of the things, her fingerprints and DNA were also on that turkey base. Or no, sorry, her fingerprints were on the turkey baster. His DNA, saliva, was on the tip of the turkey baster that was found in the trash can. Her fingerprints were on the glass. They were on the antifreeze jug. They were on the cranberry juice bottle. They were just all over the place. All over the place. She also said that she had been calling him, when she called 911 from work because he didn't show up. She said, I've been trying to call him all day and I can't get a hold of him. Well, the police pulled her phone records. Do you want to know how many times she called him that day? Once. She called the house phone from her cell phone or from the office one time. The police also checked the cell phone records, his and hers, 0 calls to each other. So she called one time. It was 2 minutes before she called 911. She called once, not all day. So she lied about that. Where's this next article? Yep, that's the one. All right, I got a little bit of a video to play for you guys. This story is just unraveling around her. You just wait. It's getting like, you think it's almost over. You think the story is almost over. There's a huge twist at the end. Don't go anywhere. There's a huge twist. Watch this first, though.
August 2005, David wanted to go on vacation with Stacey alone to celebrate their anniversary.
We always closed the shop the last 2 weeks of August and took vacation.
That's her, by the way. This this person right here that was speaking, that's her.
We always closed the shop the last 2 weeks of August and took vacation. And he wanted to go on a pretty extensive trip. And he kind of waited to the last minute to decide that. And Ashley obviously wouldn't be able to go because she was working and couldn't take the time off of work. And I didn't want to leave Bree home alone for 2 weeks. And yes, there was an argument about that.
It got pretty bad. Stacey says they had a 7-hour argument in the garage.
According to Stacey, David got upset, took the bottle.
A 7-hour argument? That doesn't make sense either. Who argues for 7 hours? I mean, Mr. Zed and I don't argue very often, but when we do, it's like 3 minutes and then we figure it out and we either walk away for a little bit, but you don't stay there and argue for seven hours. I'm going to keep pausing it, guys, by the way, so hopefully I don't get demonetized.
Bottle of Southern Comfort, went into the bedroom and locked himself in and reportedly got drunk, wouldn't come out.
I encouraged her to come over because she was just, so distraught the entire weekend.
She made the assumption, she told me that he was either sleeping it off because he'd been inebriated the whole weekend or was simply sleeping.
She kept going over there to check on him. She's
I was muted. This happens every stream, by the way. If you're new here, that happens at least once a stream. That woman who was speaking, her name was Sam, and it was her friend's house. And she went over because they were fighting. She said, well, you're fighting. So she went over to Sam's house and she kept going back and forth to check on him. I believe that she was going back and forth to poison him more and more and more. At one point, she actually asked Sam's husband to go because she went over there and she found him lying on the floor and couldn't get him up into the bed. So she gets Sam's husband to go help her lift him up and put him in the bed. Sam's husband said he just seemed like he was wasted, drunk or whatever, which, by the way, antifreeze will do that to you because it's alcohol based. So remember when I said that he told the doctors that he felt like he was drunk all the time, even though he hadn't been drinking? This is the antifreeze taking effect. Now it's to the point where it's shutting his organs down.
said she put her ear up to the door. She heard him snoring, so she knew he was in there sleeping.
But he wasn't sleeping. He was actually in the process of dying that weekend.
On the nightstand next to the bed was a short glass, half full of a green liquid, another glass that had some remnants of some juice, an apricot brandy bottle. There was a cranberry juice bottle there too.
And then underneath the bed, there was a bottle of antifreeze that was on its side with a top off.
The music, the dun 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 music. I need to get some of that to play behind my stream sometimes. Like sometimes I just need that like dramatic, the violin dun 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 to play when I'm telling a really creepy story.
I remember standing in the kitchen and speaking with one of the members of the sheriff's office, had observed a turkey baster lying in the garbage can.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that it's got droplets inside it. So I pick it
She was not basting any turkeys that weekend, by the way.
up and I pull the rubber bulb off it and I smell it and I can smell alcohol in it. I know he's been drinking. I know alcohol was involved. I know antifreeze was involved.
People have committed suicide in the past by drinking.
Okay, I don't want to get demonetized for this. It's probably too late, but who knows? So the walls are closing in around Stacey. At this point, these detectives who are investigating this case don't realize that they thought that she was just divorced. They don't realize that her first husband is also dead. So they decide, well, we're going to go talk to people in her life. And they go to try to talk to the ex-husband and find out that the ex-husband has passed away at the age of 38 via heart attack. So they go to the doctors, the hospital where he passed away, and start asking questions. They're like, how does a 38-year-old, how did you come to the conclusion that it was, a heart attack? Was there an autopsy done? How do we know this is what happened? And the doctors actually remember it, even though it happened several years before. Well, let's see. She got married 2 years after her first husband died, and they were married. So 4 years, it was only 4 years earlier that this happened. And the doctors remember how weird this lady was. They're like, she is just so creepy that they remember her. And they're like, we advised her to get an autopsy done, mainly because it was an unusual death and because it could have been a hereditary thing. We advised her, they didn't suspect her of anything at the time, but they thought if it's some sort of hereditary disease, the mom would want to know if it's something that's going to affect her daughters. And that makes sense. And the fact that she still refused it wasn't like it was going to cost her a bunch of money or anything. She just had to sign the paper to say, yes, you're allowed to do the autopsy. She wouldn't sign it. So detectives are thinking, maybe we need to check this out. Maybe we need to just check it out a little bit. Salacious super chat. Thank you so much. It's Semi-Salacious says this is submitted for greenback to milk bone conversion rate. Okay. We'll take a break here in a minute and we'll give them all the milk bones that add up right now. Salacious, I'm putting your name on the list. Actually, I'm putting Semi-Salacious on the list. She might win. Semi-Salacious. Don't forget, if you donate anytime in June, you are entered into the drawing to win the Overruled with Katie Zed, True Crime with Katie Zed coffee mug. We're going to do the drawing on July 2nd during the Leo Frank stream. I will put all these names in a hat and we will let Stephen Ignoramus, who I just saw in the chat a minute ago, pick a name out of the hat or bucket. We'll put it into the milk bone bucket, we'll pick a name out of there. See, this is why I said I wasn't going to do it right now, because I lose my train of thought. Oh, okay. Here we go. So the detectives decide to exhume the body of her late husband, Michael. So they start digging up Michael, and Stacey catches wind of this. Stacey's like, oh crap. They are digging up Michael now. And she knows what she did. She knows what they're going to find. So she gets in her little pea brain of hers, I need a scapegoat. So what did you think she does to get a scapegoat? She goes and kills more people is what she does. It's insane. They exhume the body. She's catching wind of it. They bring her in for more questioning. And then I have too many donations. I don't think all of these names will fit in a yarmulke. I think he's saying that because we're doing the Leo Frank stream, and that is how the ADL got started, by the way, guys. Too many people have donated. Sorry, can't do it. We need a giant 10-gallon hat, apparently. Obviously, they find that the first husband not only has antifreeze, his blood inside this coffin is crystallized at this point. It's just little freaking gems inside of his veins in the ground for the last 4 years. Also, not only that, there's also rat poisoning in his bloodstream as well. Also, rat poisoning. So, it's coming down. It's like she is going down. she decides, what's the best thing to do? Well, I need to have somebody else take the blame for this, obviously. So remember her daughters? Yeah. She decides that her oldest daughter is going to take the fall for her. And the way she accomplishes this, this is horrible. This is like a tough part to talk about. But her daughter Ashley, who's 19 years old, Ashley finds out that they've exhumed her father and is a little upset about it because remember, Ashley was 12 years old when dad died, and she's blaming herself because she saw him on the sofa still alive but very sick, and she didn't call 911. She left to go pick up Bree from school. She's still feeling in her heart that this is she thinks that if she would have called 911 at the time, that possibly her dad would have been saved. We know now that there's no way he could have been saved from a double dose of not only antifreeze, but rat poisoning. So, hey, Greg, nice to see you. Ashley's feeling bad. And then because they've exhumed the body, and mom, being the cool mom that she is, decides, hey, let's get drunk, Ashley. Let's have a couple of drinks, Ashley. So she gets Ashley drunk, like wasted. This is a 19-year-old. She's not a seasoned, she ends up laying on the kitchen floor, snuggling with a dog or something. That's how wasted she is. So she goes to bed that night, is super hungover, but still manages to wake up in time, go to work the next day, works her whole shift at work, comes back home, and mom says, let's get drunk again. And she does. So, which if you're hungover, mom's telling her, or Stacey's telling Ashley that, hey, if you're hungover, it'll make you feel better. Is she had the hair of the dog, you got to have another drink. So Stacey makes Ashley a drink. And at this time, Ashley says that the drink tasted very weird. It tasted bitter. So instead of not drinking it, she asks her mom, she's like, hey, mom, who's getting me drunk at the age of 19, would you put a little more Sprite or cranberry juice in this? So the drink is some sort of liquor and then Sprite and cranberry juice, which, by the way, sounds delicious if it didn't have the crushed up pills in it, but it did. So instead of not drinking it or watering it down or whatever, mom tells her, you get a straw and put it towards the back of your throat and just drink it real fast that way, and then you won't taste it. And she does it. Ashley does it. Poor Ashley. 19-year-old, beautiful girl, by the way. Beautiful girl. And she ends up going into convulsions and just laying in her bed, basically dying until her little sister comes home and checks on her because she heard her throwing up in her room. Thank goodness for Bree. Thank God for Bree. Thank God that Bree came along when she did, because Ashley was saved. Mom said, no. Stacey's like, just let her sleep it off. She's just drunk. It'll be fine. And Bree's like, no, Mom. We need to call the ambulance right now. We're calling the ambulance right now, and we're getting her to the hospital. And Bree did that, and Ashley was saved. Meanwhile, they didn't know Ashley was saved yet. She was like in a coma, in and out of consciousness. I think mostly out of consciousness. And Stacey comes to the police station and says, I found this letter. 7 pages, typewritten letter. Not even the signature on the bottom was handwritten out. 7 pages typed. All of it. And it's basically saying the gist of the letter, and she wrote the letter in such a way that it sounded dumb. Keep in mind, not only is Ashley 19 years old, she's a college student, high school graduate college student. There's like purposely misspelled words and improper English in this letter to make it sound like a kid wrote it. But keep in mind, Ashley's not a kid anymore. She's 19. She knows how to write. Has letters from, papers from college that you can see that she knows the English language. She knows how to write. The letter, the gist of it is saying, hey, Mom, I'm so sorry that the police are blaming you for Dad's death. I saw how Dad treated you and me, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I decided to kill him. Also, I did the same thing to David because he was a jerk to me. He never liked me. This is the stepdad is David. And I poisoned him as well. 7 pages going on and on and on about this. And the police are like, whoa. They already have enough evidence that shows that Stacey's the one that did all this. They just hadn't, they had just exhumed the body. So they don't know that, the police haven't completed the tests on Michael yet. So they don't know. Obviously the tests come back and that's how it is. They bring Stacey into the police station and start getting her to tell her story again. And here's the thing that, there's a million things that got her, but one of the things that happened is the police officer asks her which cup, he's got the picture of that nightstand, which cup did you pour the cranberry juice in? And Stacey, the genius that she is, says, oh, well, I poured the cranberry juice into this cup. Now, this police interview is not on camera. I wish it was. But the prosecutor, they have transcripts of it. So the prosecutor made her repeat in the trial when he's doing the cross-examination of her, making her repeat like what was said during this police interrogation. I'm going to play that for you right now. It's fascinating. I highly suggest it's an hour and 46 minutes, the whole cross-examination, but it is amazing. It's amazing. This prosecutor's yelling at her, the defense attorney's objecting, the judge is like, no, you can ask that, make her read the transcript. It's fine. It's great. It's just, chef's kiss. If you like court stuff, this is one that I definitely suggest you take a look at for sure.
Relating an incident where you and David watched a 48 hours television show that you actually watched twice, where some woman killed 2 husbands by putting antifreeze in their green Jell-O. Correct?
Correct.
Now, David's death is ruled a suicide, right?
Yes.
When do you learn that the police are reinvestigating this as a potential homicide?
September 7th.
2 years later.
Correct.
Not one single friend of yours said, Stace, the police were here interviewing us. They're asking us questions about you and David. Lynn Pulaski didn't tell you that. Danny Coleman didn't tell you that. Mike Coleman didn't tell you that. Not one single person tipped you off that the police were beginning to think this was a homicide. Is that your statement, yes or no?
That wasn't until
Is that your statement, yes or no?
Objection, Judge. It's not a yes, no question.
I'll overrule it.
No.
So on September the 7th, 07, the police are investigating this as a homicide.
It's the first time I heard of it, yes.
And you talked to Spinelli for several hours, correct?
About 3.5, yes.
Did anyone during those several hours ever use the phrase rat poison to you?
No.
Now you say, you admit that you said the word antifreeze to Detective Spinelli.
Yes.
I want you to tell us that, or strike that. You tell us that Detective Spinelli was holding up this photo, Exhibit 17.
Correct.
Was he close to you?
Yes.
He was holding the photo?
Yes.
How were his hands positioned? Was he pointing to anything?
Yes.
He was pointing to what?
He was holding the picture like this and actually pointing to this glass like this.
Okay, let me have it back, thank you. And what did he say to you?
We were talking about when I took the glasses to David, and he's like, I'm asking you about this, and he's pointing to the glass, this glass, which, you know, and I had pointed.
All right, let's reenact it.
Okay.
I'm asking you about, and you tell us what you said. I'm asking you about this glass.
About the glass.
This is the good part, guys. I'm telling you what, this is the good part. Pay attention to this part.
He's pointing to this.
I'm asking you about the glass.
Mm-hmm. And I said that one, I had pointed to this glass, and that's the glass that the cranberry juice was in.
What did he say?
He didn't say anything at that point. He's pointing constantly to this, drawing my attention to it, and I said, that's the glass that I poured the antifreeze, stopped and said.
Ooh, you just said antifreeze.
I said free is what I said.
Okay, let's do it again. So now that I know what Spinelli said.
One more thing I want to tell you guys. In the letter, that 7-page letter that it was typewritten, I believe that Stacey thought that antifreeze was called anti-free, F-R-E-E, because it's spelled out anti-free like a million times, and maybe not a million, I'm over exaggerating a little bit, but several times in the letter. It never says antifreeze, it says anti-free in the letter. So when she's like, oh, I never said antifreeze, later, like, that's what you thought it was. That's what you thought you were poisoning him with.
And I want you to do it exactly as it happened on September the 7th.
I can't do it exactly as it happened.
Why not?
No, I'm going to overrule it.
How could I do it exactly as it happened?
Well, you remember it. You remember that you weren't typing.
Judge, I'm going to object. You can't do it exactly like it happened. They're not at CID. It's not Detective Spinelli.
No, I'm going to overrule it.
Overruled.
This glass.
This is the glass that I poured the antifreeze. I stopped myself and said cranberry juice in.
When you were talking to Detective Spinelli, you didn't say, I stopped myself. I want you to do it exactly as it happened.
I'm going to overrule it.
Go ahead.
I said, are you going to continue? This is the glass that I poured the cranberry juice in.
Did Detective Spinelli confront you and say, whoa, you just said antifreeze?
No.
He just kept on asking you questions.
No, I believe at that time the interview was terminated.
The interview was terminated at that time because she knew she had messed up, and she left. She's like, if I'm not under arrest right now, I'm out. I'm not answering any more questions. Give me a lawyer. Basically like that.
Did you ever say to Detective Costanza that your fingerprints might have been on the antifreeze jug or bottle?
I don't specifically remember that, but I could have.
How many times on the weekend that David Castor died did you see your daughter, Ashley Wallace, in your bedroom?
I didn't see her in my room at all.
Not one single time, correct?
No.
Now, I want to talk to you about September the 12th, Wednesday, September the 12th. And I want you to tell us...
2007?
2007.
Okay.
Let's go through your activities for that day. What time did you get up that day?
What happens is she ends up the day before that she poisons Ashley, they have wiretapped her phone. So let me turn that off. They have all of this recordings going up to the from the time they realize, like, oh crap, her fingerprint. So like for a year and a half, they're wiretapping her phone. The day before, she's talking to random people, and you can hear in the background typing going on. Let's type somewhere where it's not going to matter. So you can hear this. She's on the phone, and you can hear that going on. She's saying she didn't even use the computer that day, was never on the computer. Meanwhile, They have her on recording talking to people just randomly where you can hear her typing this 7-page letter that she claims Ashley did. By the way, Ashley woke up from her coma, is fine, and said, I did not try to kill myself. I did not type this letter. I don't know what you're talking about. And mom is still saying, Stacey is still saying, no, she's lying. She's lying now. She did it. I didn't do anything. When I was talking earlier, I think it was Smith said that his ex-wife tried to poison somebody. And I was asking if she had remorse over it, because there's always hope for redemption. God forgives all sins, not just little sins. He forgives all sins. Stacey Castor has zero remorse for anything she's done. She's killed 2 men. She tried to kill her daughter. She still, to this day, which she's dead now, but she passed away in 2016. She has no remorse, and I don't think that she went to heaven, because in order to be forgiven for your sins, you actually have to feel bad about sinning. You also can't sin on purpose. Like, you can't. I just feel bad for her. I feel horrible for her children. I always keep in mind that there's family members that could someday see what I'm saying right here. And Ashley, if you ever see this, it's not your fault. It's absolutely not. What happened to your dad, there's nothing you could have done to stop that from happening. Absolutely not. There's nothing that could, even if you had called 911 at the time, there's nothing that could have been done there. Long story short, 2 hours. Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Long story long. Stacey gets convicted of she gets convicted of 1 count of murder. They never convicted her for the 2nd count, but we'll watch her sentencing here in a second. Let me pull that. I thought I had it pulled up, but I guess I didn't. Let me get that real quick. It's interesting. I mean, why would I put it on here if it wasn't interesting? Of course it's interesting. Why do you say dumb stuff, Katie? You hear that typing? That's what they heard on the phone. I like it when they have trials that you can actually watch. It's very interesting to me to go back and watch the trials for that Leo Frank case that Stephen and I are covering in July. By the way, the same day we're doing the drawing, if anybody wants to donate, feel free. You check Rumble, see if anybody Waffle Salter donated over there. Thank you so much. You're also welcome to do a Rumble rant or buy me a coffee, all of that stuff. All right, here's the sentencing. Oh, what I was saying. Sorry, I distract myself sometimes. The Leo Frank case, obviously, since it happened so long ago, there's not a recording of the trial, but there's transcripts of the trial, every single word of it, and it's very interesting.
And as a judge, I've seen serial killers, I've seen contract killers, I've seen murderers of every variety and stripe, but I have to say, Mrs. Castor, you are in a class by yourself. What you did to David Castor can only be described as premeditated torture. And while you're not being held accountable for it here, I must say that what you did to Michael Wallace was also premeditated torture. And premeditation is not something we often see in the criminal courts, but it certainly is present in both of these instances. Now, as bad and as evil as that is, what you tried to do to your daughter Ashley is simply something that I find I almost can't comprehend. I've seen a lot of defendants come through.
That's Ashley, by the way.
Through this court system, including some whose parents tried to take the blame for what they did, but I've never seen one who was prepared to sacrifice their child to shift the blame away from themselves. You know, I listened carefully to the testimony of both your daughters, and I have daughters too. They're older than yours, but they have a similar gap in their ages. And I listened not only to the wonderment of your daughter Ashley as she tried to comprehend what you did to her, I also listened to the horror your daughter Bree experienced in finding her older sister almost dead. You not only deprived those children of their father, but you were prepared to deprive them of one another. And I'm certain that your daughters, like my daughters, like most children who have siblings, expect and are comforted by the knowledge that when their parents pass on, they'll at least have each other to grow old and share life with. You almost succeeded in murdering one child and orphaning the other. You know, that ranks in my judgment as one of the most reprehensible things I think I've ever seen in the criminal justice system. I know that you maintain your innocence, but I'll tell you, in my view, the evidence of your guilt is overwhelming.
Until the day she died, she maintained her innocence, which is crazy with the amount of evidence that they have against her.
Like many defendants who pass through my courtroom, you're not just a danger to the general public, you're a danger to the people who love you and are closest to you. And I believe that the sentence I'm about to impose will remove that danger once and for all. Upon your conviction for murder in the second degree, the murder of David Castor on count 1 of the indictment, it's the sentence and judgment of the court that you be sentenced to a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of life in the New York State correctional system. Upon your conviction for attempted murder in the second degree of your daughter Ashley Wallace on count 2 of the indictment, it is the sentence and judgment of the court that you be sentenced to a determinate sentence of 25 years in the New York State correctional system, to be followed by a 5-year period of post-release supervision. I direct that sentence run consecutive to the sentence I've just imposed on count 1 of the indictment. Upon your conviction of offering a false instrument for filing in the first degree on count 3 of the indictment.
That means that the sentences are not going at the same time. She's got to serve one and then the next.
It's a sentence and judgment of the court that should be sentenced to a minimum of 1 1/3 years and a maximum of 4 years in the New York State correctional system. I direct that sentence to run consecutively to the sentence I've imposed on counts 1 and count.
Okay, let me tell you about that third count, because I think I forgot about that part when I was talking to you guys. So she forged the will, the last will and testament of her second husband, David, to exclude his son from his previous marriage, David Jr. And the way they figured this out is that they asked the first wife of David to bring up any paperwork that she had. So she had a copy of the previous will that he had when he was married to her, and the signatures didn't match. Also, they found out that all of the witnesses, like, you know how you have to sign and then you have witnesses to your signature? All of the witnesses on that second will were friends of hers that signed. They didn't see him sign it, which you're supposed to do if you're a witness to a signature, by the way.
Counts 2 of the indictment, there's a $275 surcharge. Ms. Castor, you have 30 days with which to appeal the sentence and judgment of the court. We are recessed.
Thank you, Judge. Okay.
She's in home office.
Okay, I will. As soon as I get back.
Off to jail with you now. Bye-bye. That's the daughter and her husband. I'm just leaving this part in because it really, when I saw them all, like, they're not celebrating necessarily that she's been convicted, but it's got to be a relief to have some sort of closure, you know, when something like this happens. I can't imagine that you can be prepared to find out that your mother tried to murder you. And then during the, before, I should have played this first, but before the sentencing, oh, hi, Trump. How are you? Stacey's daughter made a statement to the court before the sentencing, and I just want to play that for you because it's interesting, you know. This is Bree and Ashley. So we saw them hugging a minute ago. The one with the darker hair is Ashley. She's the one that was almost murdered, and then Bree's the one that found her and saved her life.
Both of you again.
Thank you. The biggest question I ask is why? Why did she do these things? I know that's probably never going to be answered. There are so many things that she has ruined. She'll never be able to see Bree graduate. My father will never take me down the aisle. She'll never get to see her grandchildren. All those things she took away from me. She killed 2 people and tried to kill me and blame it on me and blame me for the other deaths. That bothers me so much. I had to pretend for a year that everything was okay, that nothing was bothering me, even though I was worried about the trial and worried whether the jury would believe me. I hate my mother for ruining so many people's lives. I didn't even know why she did it. What gave her the right to play God with people? And I hate her for having me be the one that found my dad, just like her for having Bree found me. I never knew what hate was until now. Even though I do hate her, I still love her at the same time. That bothers me. It's so confusing. How can you hate someone and love them at the same time? I just wish that she would say sorry for everything she did, including all the lies. And though I feel bad for her today as she sits there all by herself, she's the one that did this to herself and nothing bothers her. After my mom is sentenced today, I'll go back to my loving home with people who care about me. She's not gonna go home. And if she hadn't chose to do these things, she could be home with me and Bree. She would not have to worry about anything. I've cried enough tears about this and I don't want to cry anymore. I just want it all to go away, but I know it will never go away. I have to live with this for the rest of my life. There are times when I get afraid, thinking I might turn out like her because she was good at one time. But I know I won't, and I know I could never hurt my children like she did. I hate how she tried to make me look stupid in that note that she wrote. I've tried so hard to make something of myself. I have a 3.9 GPA, and still she tried to make me look stupid. But Mr. Fitzpatrick made her look stupid with her lies. I hate how she made people choose side in our family and with our friends. Bree and I are children. People are.
It's interesting to me that Ashley, she was hurt so much by her mom, but the fact that she's a college student with a 3.9 GPA, and she's using improper grammar and misspelling words on purpose to make her seem stupid. One thing, it doesn't matter if your parent is a horrible person. There's also your parent, and you want them to, not murder you, first of all, obviously, but you want them to be proud of you and respect you. And you can just see the way she wrote that letter, allegedly from Ashley, that Stacey had no respect for her daughter at all, did not think highly of her at all.
They're supposed to stand up for us, but she's an adult, and that is the decision she made. I think about this at night, and I can't even imagine what's going through her head, all the things that she can't do. I had all these fears about if the jury hadn't believed me. What if she got out and tried to hurt me again? Or what if she tried to hurt my sister? I didn't kill anyone, and I didn't try to kill myself. I would never leave my sister or Matt. I just don't understand how you can say you love someone and in the next breath try to kill them. I wish she had told me what was going on. She was my best friend, and she took that all away just because she got scared. Well, I was scared too when I was in the hospital all by myself and I wanted my mom. But she was the one that did this. I just want to sleep one night without thinking about this. I'm not an angry person and I hate being mad at her. I want to forgive her, but I'm not sure if I can. I just hope God can forgive her. She has to listen to me this time. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and this will be the last time I get a chance. As horrible as it makes me feel, this is goodbye, Mom. As hard as you tried, I survived, and I will survive because now I'm surrounded by people that love me. I'm going to do good things in this world, despite making me, in every sense of the word, an orphan. Thank you, Judge Fahey, for letting me express my feelings.
So that's Ashley. I put the link in the chat if anybody wants to call in. If not, we will wrap it up. Frida said she's going to call in, but I don't see you here yet. Is the link not working? Or have you not done it yet? Somebody call in, please. Pretty please. I want to talk to somebody about this case just because it's just so heartbreaking that a parent could do this to a child, not just take their father away from them. That happens all the time. While I'm waiting for people, I'll put the link in there one more time. I've done it 2 times already, but I'll put the link one more time if anybody wants to call in. And while I'm waiting for you guys to jump in here, I saw that Sammy Girl donated a membership, which is amazing. This is the first donated membership that I've ever had, so that's great. I love it. I'm not sure who got that membership. I don't think it tells me. Maybe it tells me. I'm not sure. I didn't see it. But yeah. Oh, you're calling my cell phone? Oh, somebody, Jerry, number 2, I'll get to you in 1 second. I'll call you. Jerry's here now. Let me get Zena her treat for Sammy Girl's donated membership real quick, and then we'll take a couple of calls. Number 2 and Jerry. Number 2, if you can get do it so you're on the actual, so I don't have to put you on speaker or whatever. That'd be great. If not, I'll call you. Oh, Semi-Salacious got the membership. Wonderful. I hope to see you here again. I know your mom's here all the time, and I hope you enjoy the show as much. So that way, you're here all the time too. But let's give Zena her treats real quick. Zena, I got something for you. She's so excited. All right, come over here. Come, shake. It's a good girl. Shake with this hand. This side. There you go. And ear scritches. The ear scritch. Oh, thank you. All right, pots. All right, since it was Sammy Girl, I did the ear scritches and the belly rubs because I know that's what Sammy Girl wants to see. All right, I'm gonna get number 2 first, and then we'll get to Jerry. Number 2, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks.
So what do you think?
I'm not going to be on camera today because I'm busy cooking.
Okay, that's fine. I like that your symbol is just a pound sign.
Well, sometimes it's just easier that way.
Yes, absolutely. So what do you think of this case? Had you heard of it before before I brought it to your attention earlier this week?
I have heard it before. I forgot about it, but I do remember this case, and I remember watching, I don't know if it was like a Dateline special or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember it.
So give me your thoughts on it.
She's psycho.
Right? I know.
She's not just psycho. She's like how do you I know it's bad to kill your husbands. I know it's hard. It's really bad. But to try and kill your daughter.
Yeah. Like just collateral damage to try to make sure she doesn't go to prison.
Oh my gosh, she and it really makes me mad that she died without serving her whole sentence. She's off the hook.
Absolutely.
That bothers me.
I'm just pulling it up. I didn't I think it was 2016 that she died. Yeah, June 11th, 2016 is when she died.
Did you talk about when they went to Ashley's school?
No, I don't remember that part.
Okay, so the day that she supposedly typed the letter, the police went to Ashley's school.
Okay.
And as she's apparently talking to Ashley, she is typing this letter, which proves that Ashley could not have typed the letter because she was at school and calling her mother at the same time.
And I knew that there was a phone call where you could hear the typing in the background because I watched that cross-examination and they mentioned it in there.
I think maybe it was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is she thought that by deleting the letter, like hitting the delete button on the letter off of the computer, it just disappeared forever. I don't think she realized that you have to, basically what happens if you delete something off your computer, it doesn't delete. It just says that it's okay to be overridden. So until it gets overridden, it's still there. Until that space gets used up by something else. The only way to completely get rid of stuff is to just factory reset your computer. And even then, I think police nowadays can still get to that stuff.
Yeah.
So the only way is to toss your laptop into a river somewhere where it can't be found.
Correct. Yep.
So it says Castor was found dead in her cell on the morning of June 11th, 2016. It was not immediately apparent how she died, and the manner of her death was listed as undetermined. It was later determined by the DA's office that Castor died of a heart attack with no evidence of suicide or foul play, which is interesting since that's how her first husband allegedly died.
That's bullshit. That makes me mad. She really needed more than just to be able to die in her sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Because she didn't go to jail to prison until 2007. So, less than 10 years, right? Am I mathing correct? Is that correct math? Yeah.
I'm going to take your word for it.
Okay. Any last thoughts on this case? I have two other people who have graciously called in to talk about it.
No, go and talk to them.
All right, I'm going to talk to Jerry next, and I will talk to you later, I'm sure.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye. Jerry.
Hey.
Good to hear from you.
Mm.
What did you think? Have you heard of this case before?
Yeah, I've heard of this case. What a crazy bitch.
Watch the language, but yes,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry.
I totally agree. 100%. I was thinking the C word in my head, but I don't like to say that on my channel.
The B word is a little bit more, I don't know, more her flavor because, the first husband, they don't know if she actually had something to do with that, right?
Oh, no, she definitely did. He had antifreeze in his system.
Oh, that's like her MO, huh?
That's her MO. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He wasn't convicted of it because she got the life sentence for the first one, and it would just be a waste of the court's resources. Also, to prove, however many years later, that it was her that put the antifreeze there. But who else would have? Who else would have? Not only was it antifreeze, and there was one more thing with her first husband. Oh, I remember what it was. It was that he also had rat poison in his system, which was unreleased. So this is guilt knowledge. So if somebody knew that there was rat poison in his system, they were the ones that did it. And in that letter that they proved she wrote, the confession letter from Ashley, the rat poison is mentioned in there. Nobody knew that except for the killer. So 100% she did that first one too.
Oh my God. I you know what? I think I've only caught this story from the second husband. And then the the daughter thing always throws me off because I think that's why I've never actually followed up on the first husband.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first husband, that was like I always thought like, oh yeah, she has something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me kill my daughter too. Like that's like come on.
Let me kill my daughter to get out of this horrible thing that I did. And the daughter said in her statement at trial to the judge, I hope that God can forgive my mother, but I honestly in my heart feel that did not happen, just because she did not repent for her sins at all. She just kept claiming her innocence.
Oh no, yeah, she had that dumb look on her face. That's the thing that I hate about her too, is that she has that like, oh me, like type of face. You know what I'm talking about? Like I can't stand looking at her picture.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if somebody could please put Jerry's link to his channel in the chat, I would appreciate it. We're trying to get Jerry to 500 subs because YouTube has lowered its standards, I guess. Lowered its, like YouTube had standards before, but lowered its, like you only need 500 instead of 1,000 now to get monetized. And when I saw that, you were the first person that I thought of, because you have such great live streams and panel shows talking about crime on your channel, and you really deserve at least 500 subscribers.
Mostly it's you on there talking about crime. You're like my best special guest.
I am a pretty good guest. Yes. Thank you, Salacious. I knew I gave you a wrench for a reason. Definitely get on Jerry's channel, hit the subscribe button. I'm on there probably at least once a month at this point, a couple times a month, talking about true crime.
Hopefully once a week. Hopefully twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week.
I do have I have a full-time job and stuff too. But I do enjoy our conversations, and I think the audience enjoys it too. We just need more of you all in there for sure.
Oh yeah, I think our last one was great. But my last one was so good. My partner, Professor Crack, was like, "When are we going to do that again?" I'm like, "Well, I can't promise you, but when we can, But dude, this lady is out of her mind. This is just one of there's not much to say other than she's a crazy bitch.
Absolutely. So any closing thoughts? If not, I'm going to get Frida in here.
I only got to say that, she's crazy and she's a bitch. And
come on, language, Jerry.
I'm sorry. It's because I call him how I see him. And you know what? Your number 2 was right. She shouldn't have died like that. She should have died a way worse way. She deserves something else. Maybe some more rat poison. I don't know. At least if she would have had like diarrhea tracts or something that said that she suffered.
Well, that's the thing, is that the number 2 helped me with a little bit of the research on this one, and she looked up what happens to your body if you ingest antifreeze. And first of all, I told her to delete her browsing history, because if anybody dies of antifreeze poisoning near her, she's just totally screwed. But it's just a horrible way to die. It's a lot of suffering involved, and it's not a quick thing. It's not.
Yeah, like her husband thought he was sick, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like keeled over, and and he couldn't go to work and all kinds of wow, to go through all of that, just
internal organs shut down, bodily fluids are expelled everywhere. Yeah.
And what was the insurance amount that she got for him? Like 100,000 or something?
It was 60,000 for the actual insurance, but then there was all these other things that went to her because she had faked that will. That then they found out she actually admitted to forging that will after the fact. So I don't know if she had to give that back, or if it was even there still to get. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. But
yeah, I mean, dang, man, I feel so bad for that guy to go through all of that because some crazy lady just wanted $60,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, go to work, lady.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure I'll see you on your channel. Everybody here, there's 17 people here right now. I expect if you're not subscribed to Jerry's channel, go over there, click the subscribe button. It doesn't hurt. It's free. Why not? Why not do that?
We have fun over there. We talk about spaghetti tacos that are anarchy.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, and we'll talk to you again soon, I hope.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Hi. So
Hey.
I made sure that I subscribed to Jerry's channel. Both of
Thank
you are doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Of
I
course.
appreciate that. So what did you think of this case? Had you heard of it before I brought it to y'all's attention?
I think I saw some stuff about it on Dateline.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think it's like a Black Widow something on Dateline. I think one of the clips I played was from that. Yep.
I thought my family was insane.
I mean, we talked about your family on Thursday. They're a little, not murderous though. Not murderous. So that's
Except for my uncle, who, because of a will, actually went into the foothills of Ireland to get a witch to put a curse on my aunt because of the fact that he wasn't properly factored into the will.
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting.
Oh my goodness. This woman is just pure evil. I think she was just concentrated evil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just when they bring the daughter into it, that's what made me want to cover this. It's not like it's usual for women to, if a woman's going to kill somebody, poisoning is the likely route. That's mostly a woman crime. And when they say, oh, men and women are the same or whatever, they're not. Like in every single aspect, including murder, they are not the same. There's obviously outliers, not all, but most women will poison before they get their hands dirty by stabbing or whatever. Although last week we talked about Brittany, what's her last name? I want to say Brittany Murphy, but that's not it.
I just watched it too. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Brittany from Lululemon.
Yes.
Did a stabbing, and she actually did it so poorly that she cut her hand because blood is slippery, and it got under between her hand and the knife, and her hand went down and cut her hand, which is one of the many clues that were found for her that got her caught.
Yeah. This story was just absolutely insane, especially when you brought the daughter into it. I felt so bad for her.
Yeah. Looks like I have one more call. My old co-host, we used to do a show together called Ed Zed Redemption, and Ed, who I haven't talked to in 6 months probably, is waiting to get in here. So I'm going to bring him in.
Get him in.
Did you have any closing thoughts about this case or any other case? Is there any cases that you're looking forward to seeing in the future from me?
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing your Leo Frank case. As far as everybody who's already been on, I definitely agree with a lot that they've said. So
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Frida's channel, somebody throw that in the chat too. Finding the Faith, it's called. I don't think you have a YouTube channel, but you're on Rumble. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm on Rumble.
And she does amazing work over there. And I hope to see, I suggested a couple of guests for you for that show, which I forgot to send you their info, but I will. But her show is all about people's faith journeys and how they got to where they are now. And it's just, it's very interesting to me, and I love it. So
thank you. I was so honored to have you on Thursday.
I don't know if I'll find it if nobody else can, because it's on Rumble.
I'll throw it in the chat after I hop off so Ed can get back in here.
Put it in the private chat.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn off your camera, stay in here though, and put it in the private chat so I can copy and paste it. And I'm going to get Ed in here. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Ed. Holy cow, Ed, you've lost weight.
Okay, I can't hear anything.
Well, click the button, Ed. Why can't you hear anything? Can you all hear me?
No audio.
Ed, get your shit together. I can hear you. I can hear you. What's happening?
Let's see if I can find a pair of headphones. It'll do something.
All right, we'll let Ed get
There's no audio coming through my phone.
We'll get his shit together, and then in the meantime, I am going to put Frida's channel, her Rumble channel in the chat. Like I said, definitely check her out. Paste. There's Frida's Finding the Faith channel. I was on her show on Thursday. It was a great conversation, and I'll put the link to that conversation in the chat as well. We talked about all sorts of stuff. Can you hear me now, Ed?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Everybody can hear you. We're good. So what did you think of this case? Had you heard of it before?
I hadn't, and I unfortunately only caught the back half while I was doing some family stuff.
Oh.
But, I mean, I can, like, I got the trial part of it, and
yeah,
like you had said that this is crystallized evil, and I mean, a lot of people have heard my faith story, and like I know crystallized evil. I've felt it before. I've been in its presence. I'm not going to go into it a lot on your show, but
you would be an amazing guest for Frida on her channel. By the way, she talks about people's faith journeys and have people on, and you have an amazing story. So I might send her your information. By the way,
a terrifying story, but
I think because everyone's walk is different, it's just interesting to hear other people's perspectives on things, you know? Yeah, so basically she killed her first husband, got away with it, probably would have got away with it forever, except she had to go and kill her second husband. And then to try to get away with that one, she tried to kill her daughter. Insane.
Well, it's just like you had said, the no remorse part out of that. I've seen that look in somebody's eyes before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. And it's, I can tell that, yeah, probably this woman doesn't have any remorse off this. In her mind, she probably doesn't think she did anything wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, well,
I don't know what the motive was for the first two murders. Obviously, the last one was to try to cover everything back up. But
the first one, I think that she just thought that if she got divorced, she would get nothing. And she knew she wanted to get divorced. She met this guy when she was 17 years old. From what I can tell, he wasn't a bad guy, but he wasn't a great guy either. It wasn't like Mr. Zed or you, but you know what I mean? Like he wasn't like a outstanding partner where he's putting her needs first and all of that stuff. She kind of got into a rut. They've been married for 12 years and she wanted out. My light just fell down.
Oh no.
All right, hold on. Talk for a second. just talk. Take over my show for a second.
Yeah, it's not like I haven't done that one before. No, I mean, and we're in that situation too, where it's just people do, and I've advocated for getting married young in some situations, but you do have to know what you're coming into with that. And there are people who it does not work for, and clearly getting hitched at 17 for this couple, and there was. It did not work for them for quite obvious reasons.
Exactly. Yeah, they ended up getting married when she was 19, but still, like she didn't date him. Like she was a junior in high school when she met him and didn't date anyone. Like that was her first boyfriend, and they ended up getting pregnant and married. So, you know. And then the second husband was specifically for money. I think she married him for money, and she killed him.
As are most second husbands.
Yeah. One of the things that was said in the research that I did was because he owned his own business, he owned his own house that was paid off in full. He also had very expensive hobbies. So he owned snowmobiles and four-wheelers and boats and like all of this expensive toys, you know? So, yeah. Anyway, any last thoughts on the case?
There's times where I say that we should not have the death penalty because you can't go back and unkill somebody once you find out new evidence. This is not one of those cases.
That's what I completely agree. Unless it is proven, like there's no way anybody else. I totally agree with that. I don't think we should just be killing people willy-nilly. But in this case, there's overwhelming evidence plus no remorse. I think death penalty all day long.
I think so too.
Yeah, for sure. You'll have to let
close
me
your
know.
show.
What's up?
I said close your show. No plans in the chat.
Oh. You need to let me know a case that you're interested in. I know you sent me one, but I was unfamiliar with it. I need to do research. But if you have a case that you want to come on and talk about for an hour or two, let me know and I will get on it.
I will actually look into the one that I sent you before because it legitimately just closed last Tuesday.
Oh, yeah,
It was still ongoing when I sent it to you.
Definitely. Send it to me on Twitter so I can go back and find it. Or on Discord's probably the best place. Are you on my Discord?
I don't think so. Pop into mine and drop me the link.
I'll send you a link, but yeah, if you put it in Discord, because that's where I organize stuff. Hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks. No plans in the chat, but hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye. Well, I saw Leo Frank pop in here a second ago, but he left. I was getting rid of Ed to talk to Steven, but he apparently doesn't love me anymore, so he's gone. I guess that's it. Goodbye. No, let me just say one last time, if anybody wants to donate, obviously, I've said this before, but there are things that happen when you donate. Xena, my co-host over here. Xena, say hi. She doesn't, she's asleep. If I do this, yeah. So Xena gets a treat if you donate. Also, you can become a member, you can super chat, you can Rumble rant, you can buy me a coffee, any of those things. Okay, Leo Frank is back. All right, let's get Steven in here.
Yo.
Well, hello.
Look, hey.
It's weird you're not upstairs.
Like, no, it's really weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
This cool map over here.
Is it flat Earth?
Yes. Yes, it's the true. It's the true Earth. No, it's where I live. What's up?
Nothing. Just talking about true crime. So I was talking about you earlier because you're going to do the drawing for when you're here on the 2nd, so that there's no shenanigans going on. And somebody's going to win a wonderful Overruled mug. Steven's going to be on July 2nd. To talk about Leo Frank, and we were talking about going to see some of the sites around here where these things actually happened, which I think it's the first time I've done that, where I actually went to the things. So that'll be interesting for sure. Like get a real feel of what was happening at that time.
We should film footage. We should.
I think so too.
We should film footage and like present it when we stream.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be. Yeah, so I do have a question about this case that we. What were the victims wearing? Because.
Well, I actually know
that's
this.
Very relevant.
The first victim, I don't know about the daughter, but the first victim was wearing pajamas, and the second victim was naked. I don't know what the daughter was wearing, but I assume if she got home from work and then got drunk and poisoned, she was probably just wearing like jeans and a t-shirt. I don't know. Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes, depending on what you're wearing,
you might deserve it.
You can, you can deserve what's coming to you, right?
Exactly that. What did you think of this case, though? Had you heard of it before?
I'd never heard of it. Yeah, it was very, very womanly. Poison is
crazy, right?
Yeah. I didn't like her.
Really
face.
Is. It really is.
Like jail. I don't think jail should like exist for this type of thing. I think that should be like straight up, incineration.
Face the wall.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
now face the wall.
Some sort of like fertilizer scenario. Like if it's like, donate it to like, the horticulture, like, like some sort of agricultural,
give back to the earth.
Like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, why do they have these people hanging around for 25 years just so they can like die in jail? And I don't know. What is anyone contributing after a certain point?
Does Tennessee have the
look it up.
Yeah, I know Georgia does. We kill people all the time here.
Yeah, Florida does. Georgia
and like
does.
Ed was saying, there's one thing about accidentally killing somebody who then later is found, they prove with DNA or whatever that they're innocent. But if there's already DNA and her fingerprints are like, there's no doubt that she did it. this crime. Like, there's no doubt that she poisoned not only her daughter and her second husband. There's a abundance of evidence that she killed her first husband. Now, if it was just the first husband and that's all we had, I'd say, yeah, put her in jail for the rest of her life. I wouldn't condone the death penalty in that situation, but it's not. She's a serial killer.
You think? I think just one is that death penalty.
No, if it was one, if it was one and it had the amount of evidence that the second husband, what I'm saying is the first husband, there just wasn't enough evidence standalone. That case stood alone. I don't think there was enough evidence to put her to death because they didn't look into it right away. So years later, when you try to look into it, that evidence is not, it's more difficult to prove. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, these ones where like you've seen me talk about it on my show where it's like literally a dude live streaming the deed, and then everyone involved still has to say allegedly. Like,
yeah, you're freezing up. Yeah, I think you're gone. You're just frozen on my screen with a giant smile on your face. So that's the show, guys. We'll just leave Steven's smiling face up there while we close out the show. Next week, we will have a Crimeland episode. So if you have any, let's get that link in here. I know Ed was looking for it too. If you are interested in becoming part of the show, join the Discord. That's where all the good stuff happens. Let's invite people. Yes, copy. So join the Discord and you can link me. There's a Crimeland channel in my Discord. Anything you want me to cover on Crimeland. I don't know where my Crimeland channel went. That's weird. My Discord's all messed up right now. Anyway, I'll make a new Crimeland channel, I guess. It just disappeared for some reason. So there's gonna be a Crimeland channel in my Discord. Put those stories there. I'm gonna cover everything that you put in there next week. Crimeland is the show where I just do quick fire crime. I don't know what's coming and I live react to everything. The week after that is the week that we're covering Leo Frank with Steven, who you just met, by the way. He's a great guy. He's going to be right here, in-house, real-life guest on my show. I hope to see you all next week at 4:30, and I guess we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming, everybody. It was great. Bye.
First Florida man, Endo de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you so loco? Show off your photos, throw out your Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies. Them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo. My 8th subscriber, I'm a bagoso. Jump in them Sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto.
Looking for new thrills, needed a new track of land. I used to dig The Simpsons, man. Bumping Biggie, Pop, Smash Mouth, and Simple Plan. No scrubs for the crease in my pimples, damn. From the south streets of southeast Michigan, hitting shuffle till I settled on a different jam. And when a dime won't do, a better nickel can. And let me tell you when I used to dig them Simpsons, man. A funny thing about time, you can't get it back. A tight grip, but it rips the jacket. Slight lisp with a mix of traffic. You see about me, like Mr. Glass, always wished I was a whiz at graphics. Take me back to the past where the hits were massive. You can hear Gladys Knight and the Pips on plastic. Misfit molasses. Delete my contacts just so I can stick to glasses. Feel that skipped out, so I miss reminisce the classics. Aristotle of the bottle, Seneca of the sinful action, Senator of the simple maxim. I swear for a skillful Saxon, I'm still relaxing. Who wanna take a dip in the mind sauce, making up for the time lost, forgetting all my past was when I sign off. Prime bribe, prime rib, Agent Smith, crime boss, popping red pills till my mind's off, mind's off.
First Florida man, endo de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you solo go show off your photos, throw out your Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies, them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo, my 8 subscriber, I'm a bagoso. Jump in them sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto.
Threw up that blue pill, moved to a new track. I slew the foothills of that voodoo sap. Microfiche tape decks, I'll sift through that, cause I'll do anything to get the old Simpsons back. Give me the news to make my mood react. I'll swim through the sewer just to make it to the truth intact. And you can shine up that voodoo with new shellac. I'll still do anything to get the old Simpsons back. Imagine thinking Karl Marx is new school Klingon like Huzu. They welcome the ways they can bring on the boots, dude. Declare a major, they get paid to pollute you. Self-ashamed neighbors never gaze when they scoop you. I wonder how we fight it. The 6th step is never enter in my tent uninvited. The 5th step is produce, no skills is no use. 4th step community preference is unity. 3rd step is nation, it's somewhat location, mostly relations, that's the situation. Next step, family, patriarchal sanity. Safe under the canopy, ain't a place for anarchy. 1st step, I just got to say it, no showboat. Step back and soak up the logos.
First Florida man, endo de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you soak logos, show off your photos, throw out them Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies, them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo, my 8 subscriber, I'm a bagoso. Jump in them sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Hernando de Soto. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo, my 8 subscriber, I'm a bagoso. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto.